Good deal.
Have a good meeting, everyone.
Too. All right, good evening and welcome to Fort Mitchell City Council. I'm Mayor Jude Heeman and today is December the 7th, 2020. It's our last meeting, scheduled meeting in the year 2020. So we're excited to be here. For roll call, I'm just going to check everybody's microphone and it'll work. Ms. Berger,
Here.
Mr. Dethridge,
Here.
Mr. Polgears,
Present.
Ms. Knockhazel,
Here.
Mr. McVeigh, Mr. Steckel,
Here.
Ms. Burns.
Here.
All right, Amy, I gotta find everybody. We have a quorum. Council, you received the agenda. Is there any corrections to the agenda submitted?
Motion to approve.
Mr. Polgears?
Second.
Second it.
Mr. Dethridge, all in favor?
Aye. Aye.
You received, anyone oppose? Should say that tonight. Hearing none, council received the minutes for the 2016 minutes. Is there any changes?
No changes. November
All right.
November 16th, you mean?
Yeah, November 16th.
Okay. Because you said 2016.
Oh, November 16, 2020.
Motion to approve.
Mrs. Burns, second. Mr. Dethridge, all in favor?
Aye. Aye.
Anyone opposed? All right, motion carries. Joe, can you look on Facebook or Chief Sherberg, anybody on YouTube with questions, citizens and guests?
Nope, I don't have anything.
Nothing so far on YouTube.
All right, so I'll follow back after the mayor's report and check on questions. So, Claire, we've got some work for you to do tonight. Second reading of our amended budget. Just to clarify, Amy, sometimes after we had a first reading, we needed to correct some things. There's no other changes to that, Amy. Is that correct?
Did Amy answer?
I don't think so. She's
I
muted.
did.
Okay.
Oh, I said correct, but I was muted. Sorry.
All right, so none of that. So, all right, Claire, do you want to go ahead and take ordinance 2020-09?
Yes, and this is the second reading. So ordinance 2020-09, an ordinance of the city of Fort Mitchell, Kentucky, amending the annual budget of the city for the fiscal year, July 1st, 2020 through June 30th, 2021, and directing this ordinance to be published by summary.
Is there any questions? I think the biggest thing that was looming out there is the park board. Just to qualify that, you know, the park board met and then they're meeting and walking the site. They're going to revise that. Before we spend any money, I will bring that back to council to approve that expense, even though it's in the budget. Okay. Is there a motion to approve the amended budget?
Yeah, motion to approve.
Mr. Polgears, second. Ms. Knockhazel. And Amy, I guess we better do roll.
Okay. Ms. Berger,
Yes.
Ms. Burns,
Yes.
Mr. Dethridge,
Yes.
Mr. McVeigh,
Yes.
Ms. Knockhazel,
Yes.
Mr. Polgears. Mr.
Yes, ma'am.
Polgears? Mr.
Yes, ma'am.
Steckel?
Yes.
Mike, you're on a kind of a delay tonight, just as an FYI.
Is that AOL connection he's got?
Yep. Claire, you got another one, ordinance 2020-10.
Yes, also a second reading, and this is an ordinance establishing regular meeting dates of the City of Fort Mitchell City Council for the year 2021.
Allison, for your information, so what council used to do is we would always have it on the first Monday of every month. And sometimes, actually, it's twice it happens. There's the holidays on the first Monday. So we can do it by ordinance and just select the dates. And that's why we started doing this a few years ago. So just for your information.
Motion to approve?
Mr. Dethridge,
Second.
Second.
second, Ms. Berger, and Amy, would you do roll?
Sure. Mr. Steckel,
Yes.
Mr. Polgears,
Yes, sorry about that.
Ms. Snockhazel,
Yes.
Mr. McVeigh,
Yes.
Mr. Dethridge,
Yes.
Ms. Burns,
Yes.
Ms. Berger.
Yes.
All right, Claire, we got a municipal order.
Yes.
Go ahead.
We have Municipal Order 2020-04, adopting revisions to the investment policy governing investment of all city funds.
Amy, you want to give a little background on that?
Sure. We just adjusted the investment policy. House Bill, Senate, I think it was Senate House Bill 669 amended KRS 66.480, which expanded eligible investment options for local governments and in school districts to include exchange traded funds, mutual funds that were managed by professional investment firms. And there was, they shall not exceed 25% of the equity allocation. They also included some high quality corporate bonds. They've put limits on that also. So basically we're just matching what the state is allowing. And so they did put restrictions on that of any of these investments, and any one insurer may be no more than 5% of the total amount invested. So there are restrictions, but additional investments.
So for the fiduciary responsibility, as far as how we invest or what we do run that past our finance committee, and typically Mr. Dethridge has been bringing that in. Amy does shop any type of rates that we want to keep, you know, whether it's cash on hand and things, but then any investment stuff, it does run through our finance committee. So just for your information.
Yeah, and I've looked at some of those rates that we're getting, and because I mean they seem to far exceed, you know, really what your average individual is going to get out there.
That's right. Hope that continues. I would
They've actually gone down, but
still, yeah.
They're
not in
still
my control.
right. They're still better than I know what I'm getting though. So
Can I get a motion for municipal order 2020?
What is it? 2020.
Motion to approve.
What number, which one is that? 2020, I should have looked.
It was
There is a number on it.
2020-04.
04, okay. Putting on the agenda. I'm sorry, motion, Mr. Polgears, did you say that?
no, Kim had it, but I'll second.
Okay, Kim, Mrs. Knockhazel, second by Mr. Polgears. It's a municipal order. All in favor, by saying aye.
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 And anyone opposed? All right, hearing none, motion carries. Resolution,
Okay, we have Resolution 2020-10, authorizing participation in the Kentucky League of Cities Investment Pool Plus.
Amy, a little background on that, same.
Yeah. So the Kentucky League of Cities, I think they used to do this a while ago, and I'm not sure what happened. I I think maybe the investment rates got so high that, they weren't really needed. But anyway, they've started this up to take advantage of economy of scale, of having all the local governments be able to invest in this investment pool that was set up by Kentucky League of Cities to have lower expenses and increase revenue. It aligns with all the specific guidelines of the state laws and policies of what local governments want. I think what I've noticed is when we're dealing with investment advisors, they're not necessarily aware of all the restrictions that local governments have. So this just gives us an option. I mean, it doesn't mean we're moving all our money there, but it's just giving us an option to look to see what they have and to be able to invest in the Kentucky League of City investment pool. They do offer, it looks like 4 different funds. So there's like a intermediate government investment pool, the money market investment pool, corporate bond investment pool, and the S&P 500 equity investment pool. The fees are, they're split between PNC Bank and Kentucky League of Cities, depending on how much money is in the fund from all the governments. So it's 0.35% is the fee. So this is just allowing us to be able to look at it and invest in it if we feel like it's a good rate.
All right, that would be a resolution 2020-10.
Motion to approve?
Mr. Dethridge,
Second.
second, Ms. Burns, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Claire, motion carries. I think that's the end of your report. Thank you. Under the mayor's report, just a few things. We posted the city administrator's position. We received several applicants, going through them now, kind of narrowed it down to 5. We'll just start first round of interviews and kind of report back to council from there. So we'll see. So just want to kind of update council. The holiday lights, I just want to thank Public Works for placing all the holiday lights. They look fantastic. Had so many people with feedback. The fire truck just blew everybody out of the water, and they really enjoyed that. The police department and Public Works is a little jealous. So I think Joe's working on that. I don't think he can pull that off this year, but that was something that I think people really liked. I was on a update with the bridge. They're still, you've probably seen the news, but they're still saying December the 23rd. That's my birthday, so that'd be a great birthday gift just to get the tractor trailers and things and all the traffic moving forward. So they still say that that's moving. Zala, we met with Dave Heydrich. He submitted some very preliminary plans about some development at the college. They tore down the college. Just for visual purposes, it would be very similar to what they have with the Brewburger and that retail space. Be the same type of retail in the back. So he pretty much has about 80% of it leased out already. So they are moving forward the first of the year. So that's really great news for that. That is an area that I think we need to continue to watch because of traffic, getting in and getting out of that. There's so many curb cuts in that area. Once the drawbridge plans get submitted, it's something that I think we really need to keep an eye and maybe push the developer about how we centralize traffic flow throughout that Buttermilk Pike. But I'm excited for the Zala and Dave Heydrich. I think they build a great building and they always look out for their tenants. So they got a good site. I have board appointments, several that once the new council takes over, from code enforcement, the Board of Ethics, we have PDS appointments. We have park board appointments, and we have OKI appointments and TBNK appointments. So this new council, pretty much the first in January. There's some that are not coming back. So I don't know. In the past, we've came up with names that were submitted to Sharma. We've publicly posted them on Facebook. So I don't know what if council has any problems with that, but I'm going to call each person and make sure. But I know we have several openings because some moved out of the city. So on those appointments. So get with Andrew if you would. So two other things. The CARES Act money, we got our second piece of that, and it's $185,541. So another $185,000 to recoup, and that really helps offset a lot of that, additional cost. So budget wise and stuff, I think this year, obviously we're surpassing. I think it's that next fiscal year where we're really going to start feeling it a little bit. Especially, some restaurants are still closed, and we hope that they can rebound of going through. And then the last thing is just thanking Scott McVeigh. This is his last council meeting. I don't know that he'll ever watch another council meeting. I hope.
I'm not going to tell you at this point in time.
Probably not.
But
There's a good chance I do.
Yeah, well, you spent a lot of years in this city, and we definitely don't want you to walk away. If you want a board appointment, if you want to get back on a fire truck, we've got you. So
Have your people call my people.
yeah, I just
We
want
are
to.
currently recruiting volunteer firefighters, so we do have some positions open.
Oh, have your people call my people.
Yeah, that was my people calling you right there.
There you go.
But just to
Scott,
thank
you can always say, been there, done that, not doing it.
Exactly. Thank you very much.
So, but thank you sincerely.
And thank you. Thanks to everybody in the city. I appreciate it.
Andrew, you got anything for administrator's report?
Just touching on what you just mentioned there with the boards, I can send out a list to everybody with what the vacancies are, and that way if you have anybody you think would be a good fit for those vacancies, just let me know, and we'll get it. We'll talk to them. I did talk to briefly Mike Brandy today about Royal Drive and the site, the Drawbridge site. So he is hoping to have some more information to share with us in the next couple of weeks as far as the planning, the site planning, and the road goes there.
Real quick on that. So, the TIF is expiring again. We got an extension. State is kind of pushing, and they want to do a conference call. Is that
yeah, so they want to speak with yes, Brandy Corps and us, just to see kind of where things are and whether it still fits within the TIF that exists.
Yeah.
So it's not the TIF board. It's just a meeting to see whether we can proceed. City offices are still closed to the public as far as walk-ins. We do have a buzzer in the lobby that calls Rhonda at the front and fails over to police and fire after that. So if people do show up at the door, we can still handle it in a safe manner. I think it's been going pretty smooth. Helps that tax season is mostly over at this point. But we think it's keeping our employees safe. At this point, we have no active COVID cases among our employees. Now, knock on wood. And then the last thing is, we're hearing some information about vaccines. First responders are in the group 1B, I guess you would say, is what we're hearing, probably going to be, the EMT paramedics first, and that's most likely after the first of the year. So that's all I have. Any
questions for Andrew? All All right, we'll come back to you with police. Comments from council? Anything new?
Not for me.
All right. You guys are easy tonight. Well, let's do department head report. Amy, you have a update? You're on mute.
Got it. I didn't look in the last few days, but the last time I looked, we had collected 97% of property taxes. So that's good, but nothing really else, I don't think.
Okay.
97% is wonderful.
It's great.
Yeah.
All right. Thanks, Amy. Kyle, you have anything?
Probably my biggest thing is just when our last park board meeting and meeting with Baron Becker, talking about the bid process itself. They're looking for late January bids to go out. Mayor, we'll make sure that you see everything before it goes out, of course. We'll share everything with council also. Late February, open the bids, and late March, early April, hopefully the work could begin. The two alternatives, really the same basic bid that we put out the last time, except for we are including the tennis courts renovations and also adding the playground. But one thing Baron Becker did point out and bring to us is that we might want to do that playground, bid it out at the same time, but as a separate bid to get more people involved in that instead of just being subbed out by one of the two people that might, or people who actually bid on it and might have better specifics, if that makes sense, and specialties in that area. So that is one of the things we're going to discuss later. But again, for the most part, we have an idea of what we want to do, and we'll be working on it. We're actually going to be meeting every 2 weeks. The park board will be to get this process done, so we can definitely have it out to bid by the end of January.
Good. Thank you for your work on that, Kyle.
No
Yeah,
problem.
absolutely, Kyle. It's been a long year, I know, for you, but keep talking, keep doing what you're doing.
Yeah, we'll get it done.
Any other questions for Kyle? Joe?
Thank you, Mayor. A couple things. First off, the lights contest is this weekend, so a reminder to have your lights on, your Christmas, your holiday lights on. We'll come around, drive around the city, select 15 houses, and of those that are selected, they will receive a gift card from a restaurant here in Fort Mitchell. So trying to help out the businesses as well. And I have to say, I've lived here for 20 years. I have never seen so many lights on in this season. And I have since, almost 20 years. So that's great. Second thing is, spoke with Santa Claus today, and he's trying to come in sometime in the next week or two, along with a fire truck. So we're ironing out some details so when he can leave the North Pole and come down here. So pay close attention to our social media, and we'll get the word out about that as well. That's it.
Good deal. Any questions for Joe? I agree, Joe. I went to add some more lights to my house, and I went to Home Depot, Lowe's, and Home Depot in Florence, and they were out of lights. I think a lot of people have in this area have really decorated a lot.
Yeah.
Joe, I just want to thank you. So far, I think you're doing a great job, especially during a pandemic. You've come up with some very creative ideas, and I've heard a lot of positive comments as far as your work on social media. So thank you for that.
Thank you, Greg.
Any other questions for Joe? All right. Thanks, Joe.
Thank you.
Matt, you got any updates?
Yes, thanks, Mayor. Just update on the crew work. Obviously, our crew with our Dan Cook, he's been with us a little over a month now, but he's working out great. They've been busy installing the lights, wreaths, all the Christmas decorations. Also busy in the past month with street sweeping, and we've got every street in the city swept at least once in this fall, many of them twice, and we share that sweeper with Edgewood. They've got it back now, and we hope to get the last few areas, low spots and touch-ups before the end of the year. Also preparing all of our trucks for snow, that dirty 4-letter word, and getting ready for plowing snow and spreading salt. We did have one little event last week of putting some salt down and trying to a little bit of snow. Was that last week or was that week before? Whatever. We've had one event so far this season. With road work, the big project that we have, biggest one this year, Ridge, West Orchard, and Coleman contractor is no longer active this year. They just have the final surface of asphalt to put down, and so the residents get to finally enjoy a little peace and quiet here for a few months before we finish that up. Also, the stairs and the railing on Bryce Avenue. The railing was installed last week. If you all haven't seen that yet, we're very happy with the way it looks. As we planted matches, it's at the top of the underpass, and I think they did a good job. Needs a little bit of cleanup there. They're going to come back out and clean up the pavement. It was freezing when they did that, so their cleanup methods, they want to avoid using water because it's just going to freeze. And, anyway, I think it turned out really great. Also, our fire department driveway, all the work out front, we redid a couple of sections of concrete out there, and that was finished. So, but that's looks much better, and we're thankfully complete with that project as well. And also, we have a couple projects in design: Grace Avenue and Watch Hill Road. All of Watch Hill Road and a section of Grace Avenue, there will be a complete reconstruction of the street. Grace Avenue will also have some storm sewer added. Actually, that's really what started that project, is the need for some storm sewer on Grace Avenue. And those are in design. We plan to get those out for bid. But in discussing this with the mayor here last week, we were talking about sidewalks, and there's no sidewalks in either one of these streets. And when we're going to be doing the complete reconstruction, now's the time to discuss whether we should add sidewalks to these areas or where it makes sense to. Two very different streets there. Watch Hill being back in a neighborhood there off of Fort Side, and Grace Avenue. Obviously, I can share where that is on Grace, but just a different section close to the drawbridge, and with the development that'll go in there, it might be high time to add some pedestrian connectivity over there. So, Mayor,
yeah, I think the big thing with that is we're doing this design that council considers that. I know, Ms. Berger, you and I were way back when we're on a sidewalk committee, and then Ms. Knockhazel, you're now on, you chair the safety committee. And if we're not at least discussing those ahead of time, I'll give you an example on Fort Side. When we did Fort Side, Summit Park, I mean, it's gorgeous. We built those because we replaced it. It was the way it was, but those are sidewalks that I call them sidewalks that lead to nowhere. I mean, because if you go into Fort Side, you go up around Summit and then you come out, they end, they don't go, they don't continue off. And so it's a sidewalk that ends and goes to nowhere. And so really discussing that, because, Cherrywood is going to be next, do we really, oh, something just happened.
I should share the screen.
Okay. Do we really, getting council's input, where you want to do it, at least, Ms. Berger, when I was on city council, I know it was very confrontational, because one of the things is council or the resident was required to pay for that. And that changed several years back. So this is something that we would be budgeting, and doing. So I'm curious with just some feedback, because I think everybody knows a little bit of where, Watch Hill and Grace are. But what do we want to do?
Also, personally, I think.
Go ahead, Kim. I'm sorry.
Well, I was going to say, I mean, I personally think in every neighborhood, there should at least be one sidewalk on one side of the street because, I mean, you know, in the neighborhoods that you're talking about, I mean, you have people just walking in the middle of the street and cars rule the roost. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't really think they pay attention to whether or not pedestrians are in the street, and they shouldn't be in the street. So I would be highly in favor of exploring that.
Mhm. I'll add to that as far as, you know, I think anytime you do a road construction, reconstruction, that, yeah, I think it's, if there's no sidewalks there, then you at least have to explore that option. Just financially, it makes sense. With that being said, you know, I know people can be very sensitive about sidewalks because, you know, especially people with limited front yards, they hate to lose that green space, which I can appreciate that to some extent, but I also see the importance of sidewalks from a safety and walkability standpoint. So it almost needs to be done on a, I don't know, you know, it's just, you know, it's a tough one. I don't know if you got to look at it at a neighborhood by neighborhood standpoint or what, I don't know, but at a minimum, I think it does need to be explored.
Right, I would agree with both Kim and Greg. You know, as Jude said, I've been on council for quite some time. And I feel that safety is the big factor that we do need to look at here. If you look at our city, we do have a very walkable community. Look at the people that came to us from Louise Drive and Jerry's Lane. How many years did they ask us for a sidewalk to connect them to the rest of the city? I think the fact that we have a very diverse community between our elderly, middle-aged, and our young children. We have people that do go out on foot and they walk our community. And I feel we owe it to them to give them these sidewalks and allow them to go from one part of our community to another. You know, whether it's walking up to Kroger's, walking to school, or just walking to a neighbor's house, I think we need to give them the opportunity to get from point A to point B in a safe manner.
And Vicki, I agree with you also, and I've been asking for 14 years for a sidewalk on Beechwood where I live. But then again, with Ashton, when we had the meeting, I wanted a sidewalk, but they pointed out that it would take up too much of their front yards. So we have to look at what the residents want also, but I believe in connecting the entire city with sidewalks.
Right. We also had the people back on Sunnymead where the residents, you know, a portion of the residents came out and said, you know, we do not want sidewalks. Another portion came out and said, you know, we do. You go back and drive in Sunnymead and the number of adults, children that are out there in the street, you know, walking. To me, it's a safety issue.
Well, on Beechwood, we have the high school children running track and practicing, and they're supposed to have a car behind them, and they don't. And it's very scary.
I think it's definitely worth taking a look at and taking a serious look at.
Right. So I guess getting direction from council. Somebody used the word explore, and the big thing is on, if I talk about explore, is that the engineer is going to determine whether or not we have accessible right of way. So do we have enough right of way? And I'm not an engineer, but looking at the map that Matt is showing on going down, well, it's gone now, going down Watch Hill on the left-hand side, there's looks to be ample amount of what we'll call right of way of doing that. So if council didn't have to purchase any right of way, what is the determining factor, you know, of explore? Is it, are we having a meeting? Because that's going to push back all the engineering. If Matt wants to get this in, you know, into construction and engineering, is explore meeting with the residents of Watch Hill, or is explore, hey, we have enough room, we have the money, we're going to do it. What is that? Can somebody help with that? Or I'm not trying to load a question, but
Yeah, I mean, as a council member, I'd say exploring is getting resident input. But I mean, if the mayor wants to go ahead and do it, then he certainly can do that without council's approval.
thanks, Greg.
Mayor, I'll jump in real quick and just mention, so we recently were approached about a parking issue on Sunnymead, and we did send a letter to the residents who were in the area who have been affected by the change in parking, and just ask for feedback, for email or written feedback or a phone call. So if you do want to go the feedback route versus trying to have some kind of public meeting, which I think could be difficult right now, that may be a route.
Right.
It's just
Yeah, totally agree. Yes.
And I do too. Yes.
On these maps here, where we're looking at Watch Hill, and the way the red lines indicate that this is from PDS, and the mapping here, it's really, there's an even amount of right of way on both sides of the street. The red line's a little bit off there, but plenty of right of way to do that on Watch Hill Road. Also with Fort Side Drive, Fort Side Circle, any of the connectivity through that neighborhood. Grace Avenue, that's actually, I'm switching over on the map. It's with the delay. Can you see that I've changed maps there and give everybody an idea of where we are looking at? Can you see the cursor moving on the screen? Can you see that?
I can.
Yes.
Okay. So this is the old Drawbridge property, of course, and the way Royal Drive goes around that on the left-hand side. The section of Grace Avenue that we are doing construction on, it's right here, the Grace Avenue with Grace Court, starting at this intersection and going down to this intersection. That's where the storm sewer project is. I think we'll keep it in the grass outside of the pavement, but we'll be connecting down in this area to an existing catch basin. The road reconstruction is right through here. Let's see, the right of way in this section, you can tell it's a little bit more narrow. And again, it's even, there's an equal amount on both sides, but we're on Watch Hill Road. The roads is the same width, 25 feet. But on Watch Hill, there's a total of 50 feet of right of way. So 12 and a half feet of room behind each curb. On Grace Avenue, we currently have a 25-foot road and a 30-foot right of way. So there's only about 2.5 feet of extra room, of extra right of way on each side. If we're going to add sidewalks on Grace Avenue, we have to acquire right of way or a permanent easement. So this is a little bit stickier on this section. You can see how it's represented there.
Right.
So it's just a little bit of added there, but that's into the details. But I guess ultimately the question is do we think it's worth it, or do we think it's something that we want to do as a city to add those? We have sidewalk on Royal Drive on the one side, on the near side here. It's actually sits back off the road a little bit, and with any new development through there, I'm sure they'll be wanting to have a high degree of pedestrian accessibility, and
right.
to improve our pedestrian accessibility towards that, because I think it's going to be a draw. Hopefully successful it will be.
No, I mean, I was only half joking with. I think with the Grace Avenue, look, that street probably has a decent amount of cut through traffic now as it is. So, safety standpoint, you're only going to have more once this development is done at Drawbridge, number one. But number two, you're also, I would think, have much more of a desire to walk to the new development. So, I think sidewalks there make absolute sense.
Yeah.
Well, to your point also, if and Mayor had mentioned earlier that the Zala project across the street, back behind where the Brown Mackey is. I mean, I can almost point to my building right here. I'm looking at where I am right now, and we catch a lot of traffic on Buttermilk, and there's a lot of people. There's going to be more walk traffic. So you'll see more cut through, not just with obviously the Drawbridge property, but across the street as well.
Yeah, and this is one that I brought to Matt's attention. It's like it's now or never, and I hate to sound that way, but if you don't go do it and you're redoing that street, it'll never do. We'll never go back and get it, and the amount of traffic, it's just going to increase, and the desire of that. So, again, going back, when I was on council in the 90s, that in early 2000, people got really heated. I mean, I lost contact with a cousin that lived on Sunnymead that was just fired up that we were going to actually put a sidewalk in the front of his yard. And I just, that's the only part that everybody's got to be aware of, that everybody, doesn't want them. But
I'm of the opinion that unless there's extenuating circumstances on a street, for example, like in Ashton, every new subdivision that is built comes with sidewalks. I mean, currently, part of the community that you're talking about is where I live. And, in jest, I, showed you guys a picture of me in a vest and lights where I'd go from my house up Fort Side, where there's no lights, to walk to Crumpleman and over by the club. You know what I mean? At night, you cannot walk in this neighborhood safely unless you're covered in lights and vests, because it's not well lit and you're in the street. I mean, I see no reason to not have sidewalks in almost every neighborhood unless there's extenuating circumstances, because there's some neighborhoods where there just isn't enough room based on when it was developed, things like that. But, I think you're right. If we're going to redo a street, sidewalks should be included.
So, Ms. Berger, if you remember back in Sunnymead, when we finalized that, what we did, and I'm very sure that this was what happened. It was engineered for sidewalks, and then it was elected not to put them in. So the slopes and everything. So
I believe so.
What I guess I'm asking council, what I'm, without any opposition that it would be a big deal, I'm going to give direction to go ahead and engineer these for sidewalks, and move forward with it, unless at the time we would change our minds and not put them in. They'd still be engineered for the sidewalk.
Can you also add the sidewalk from Grace Court all the way down to Pleasant Ridge? They might as well complete it.
The problem, Mike, that was done not too long ago. Probably we would have to look at that. We probably could get it up to Kathleen pretty easily, but from Kathleen down to Pleasant Ridge, we would have to probably look at that, because it gets pretty tight in that area until we go and redo that construction project, or if the amount of people are so high. I think that's a much bigger ask.
Okay.
Just looking at it, it really gets, I mean, the topography and stuff really gets tight down in there. That will be an expensive sidewalk.
Sure. Okay, no problem.
All right, Matt, I think you and I can talk later about direction with this, but unless anyone else from council has a question, I think we're good.
Okay.
Thank you all for your input.
Thank you. And well, as far as my report, that is was the last thing here. I did want to say we do plan in the coming weeks obviously winter is a big time to catch up with potholes, but we want to proactively get ahead on some of those potholes as well. And we'll be working towards that end.
Agree.
Go ahead.
Any questions for Matt?
Matt, speaking of potholes, possibility of contracting with District 6 for state roads for the city to maintain them?
I did not get a chance to check into that. I looked at the program that they have in Covington, and I just comparing the number of state roads and the way that they have that in Covington. It's probably a slightly different type of usage for that program that they have. And I was also looking at just the quantity of state highways that Covington has in the city limits. And I think it was like $30,000, just comparing that to the budget. I still intend to look into it. I just haven't got a chance to do it yet.
Yeah. Obviously, I don't, none of us financially or fiscally, it makes sense. But I know Jude shares my feelings here that I'm just tired of fixing potholes on Dixie Highway when the state should be doing it, and we're doing that at our expense. So if there's any way, that program could help us out, I would greatly appreciate it.
Okay.
All right. Any other questions? So we got two more updates. Chief Fuller.
Thanks. So our report is in the council packet. So 134 total runs for the month, 69 in Fort Mitchell, 121.75 volunteer station hours. Those numbers are slightly down. We hired most of our volunteers. We hired several of them into the part-time ranks. That's been one of our goals, as we've said, is to create a career path for people as they come in. So we are definitely working towards that. So it was nice in the last month to bring on 4 of our volunteers as part-time employees. So we are definitely still working in that direction, and meeting with our recruitment and retention coordinator. That is kind of his plan, is to continue that process of trying to pick them up at high school and move them all the way through. So we are definitely looking good there. The new ladder truck, we're hoping to have it in service in January. We have most of the equipment mounted. There's a couple manufacturer things we're still working through that we should have resolved here in the next few weeks. So progress with that. The UTV, we are hoping to have delivery of that next week. So we actually have pinpointed one, so that is in stock. So we'll hopefully get that squared away here. Grants, the vehicle exhaust system project should start within the next few weeks. Hoping to have that project wrapped up by the end of January, 1st of February. The COVID PPE grant, where we got the protective equipment, all but one item has arrived. So that has been put to use. We've actually used that on several runs already. And then the assistance to firefighters grant project, which is what the vehicle exhaust is from. The fiscal year 2020 process is scheduled to open any day now. So we're looking for the program guidance to see the funding priorities, and then do our needs assessment and decide what our best option is for pursuing grant funds there. So I would anticipate at the next council meeting, you will probably have a resolution requesting permission to apply for another grant. So we are working through that process. And then the Kentucky Fire Commission, previously they had a volunteer task force that was across the state looking at various issues affecting the volunteer fire service. There's been some changes in the Fire Commission, a new executive director, new chairman of the Fire Commission, an entire new Fire Commission appointed by the governor. So they are bringing back a task force. It will be a volunteer and combination department task force. And as of 2 weeks ago, I was asked by the Fire Commission to be the vice chair of that task force. So we'll be bringing back some information. So hopefully we can do some things across the state and make some changes that need to be made and some revisions to the volunteer and combination side of the fire service. So pretty excited about where that task force may go and some of the things they may get to work on. I do want to thank Scott McVeigh for your time on council, your time here at the fire department. I'm serious, the door is always open, volunteer, part-time. Somehow we'll find a way to keep you involved. If not, I have your cell phone number, and I come to you for advice when I need it, and I appreciate your input, and you truly have always been great to me, and I appreciate that, and truly definitely plan to continue working with you. So I'll have my recruitment people contact you, and we'll make something happen. And then obviously, as you guys have heard with all the Santa Claus stuff, we are obviously on the good list this year with Santa Claus. So hopefully everyone else can get to that list also. But I appreciate everybody's support and thank you for all the projects we've been able to pull off this year.
Any questions for Chief Fuller? All right. Thanks, Chief. Chief Sherberg.
Briefly, we are currently down 4 officers. We had 12-hour shifts to really as a safety measure for COVID. It's helping us get by this month, but just FYI, we're a little short-staffed. We've got some people we're working on the process for. So, 2 new cars you may see sitting out. We're just waiting for the parts to come in, the upfitting parts for those. Again, 2 more hybrids because we've seen some good results out of the ones from last year, somewhere around anywhere from a 40 to 60% increase in fuel mileage out of those hybrid SUVs. So pretty happy with those. I want to put my city administrator hat on back on for just a second and really thank all the departments with this being the last meeting of the year. It has been a crazy year. And all the changes that we've had to make kind of on the fly with COVID, and it just really, trying to keep the staff safe, trying to figure it out as we went along. Everybody's been patient. I think, again, knock on wood, we've stayed relatively healthy. And I think we have a really great team here that was willing to adapt and willing to kind of roll with the punches this year. So thanks to all the department heads and their teams for keeping it together, and not just keeping it together, but really, if you look at what we've accomplished this year, I think we've been able to accomplish a lot despite what 2020 has thrown our way. So thanks everybody for that, and obviously thanks to council as well for giving us the leeway to do that and standing by with us and supporting us in the decisions we've had to make about shutting the office down and all the different changes we've had to make. So thanks everybody.
Yeah, very well said, Andrew, and thank you. I know you've had to wear 2 hats for several months now, and double duty you're pulling.
Can't get myself on mute. So far, my hair is not gray, so I guess it's going all right.
No, I
And you
couldn't-
still have hair.
Hey.
I wasn't going to say that on this call.
Wow.
Hey, I'm the senior in this group, so I need a little respect.
Hey, that doesn't give you right to make hair jokes.
Put her on mute, Andrew. No, I agree. And Andrew, and really, you're right. The staff, and I couldn't do it without you with what you've stepped up to take care of. But you have a good set of department heads too that really take a lot of the responsibilities and make it easy, make it a lot easier. So thank you all. Any final questions for Andrew? Because our next thing is to swear in. Mary, your camera phone, the camera's off. I don't know, Claire, on the legality side, if we have to see her or not see her, but
what do I press to get on?
We should be able to see her. It is it does require the video conferencing.
Okay.
There you
Okay.
are.
There we are.
Next to the microphone.
Well, I didn't realize you didn't have the excitement of seeing me. I'm sorry.
That's all right. Allison, you can come off of mute now if you want.
Okay. Hi, everyone.
Welcome. So this is kind of exciting. Obviously, we're going to swear everybody in. Under law, you typically need to be sworn into office before the first of the year. Obviously, in an emergency or anything else, Mr. McVeigh is still acting as a city council until December the 31st at 11:59. So he still has.
Mayor, quick question. When Scott and I were just on and finishing our first terms, you made us sing the anthem.
Right.
Is it the same for Allison?
Yeah, why don't we all stand up? He's looking at somebody.
I'm looking at him.
Allison, do not allow them to push you.
I will not, Mary.
Mary, as the senior council member, you have to sing it with her.
No one wants me to sing. My own family, nobody does.
Me
All right.
neither.
I better let me get a hold of this meeting now. It's not going well. But I would like to do the oath of office for everybody. And so Claire said that this is legal and we'll be sending this. Amy, how did we decide that this is legally to do, but they're going to have to sign the oath at some point?
No,
No?
no, I just document that they were sworn in and I actually sign it. Claire
Okay.
said they didn't have to each individually sign it. They just have to say it.
Yeah, the statute says that whoever administers the oath needs to certify to the Secretary of State that it was completed, but it doesn't say anything about the person receiving the oath that they have to sign. So we can figure that out later if you want that for completeness, but doing the oath virtually is okay.
Okay. So we're all in this together for the first time. So if you would all raise your right hand as you take the oath of office, the Commonwealth of Kentucky constitutional oath of office. I do solemnly swear or affirm that I will support the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of this Commonwealth, and be faithful and true to the Commonwealth of Kentucky so long as I continue a citizen thereof. And I will faithfully execute to the best of my ability the office of City Council of Fort Mitchell according to law. And I do further solemnly swear or affirm that since the adoption of the present Constitution, I, being a citizen of this Commonwealth, have not fought a duel with deadly weapons within the Commonwealth, nor out of it, nor have I sent or accepted a challenge to fight a duel with deadly weapons, nor have I acted as a second in carrying out a challenge or aided, assistant any person thus offending, so help me God.
Do.
I do.
I do.
I do.
All right, you are sworn into office. Congratulations, everyone, and congratulations, Allison, and welcome aboard to the city of Fort Mitchell.
Thanks, Jude. Thanks, everyone.
Mayor.
So Joe, if we could post that out, that we have new members coming on, and we'll do a little special spotlight for Allison since she's the newest member.
Will do.
All right, Claire, did I do okay?
You did fine.
All right, so it's official. Anyone else? Joe, I never checked back, or Andrew, was there any questions on council on Facebook? Okay.
Nope.
If nobody else has anything, Mr. McVeigh, would you make that motion?
Oh, well, no,
Motion
wait
for
a minute.
Never mind.
Hold
Hold
on.
on.
Wow.
Happy holidays and happy, healthy, prosperous new year.
Thank you, Mary.
Thanks, Mary. You too.
Thank you, Mary. You too. Yeah, thank you.
You too.
Okay, now Scott.
All right, back
Can
again.
Scott,
Motion
can
for
Scott
adjournment.
make both the first and the second?
Yeah, no. Sorry, but Mr. McVeigh makes the motion to adjourn, and
Second.
second, Ms. Nakes, all in favor.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Scott, thank you again.
Thank you, guys.
This meeting.
care,
Thank you,
Scott.
Scott.
I'll be
Bye all.
around sometime.
Good deal.